Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unfinished Business Television News. Well, not reviews this time. We're just doing news. We're trying something new. We're doing movie news and commentary. Thank you, Fear of a Black Critic Pod, Vashon, for watching. We're going to hopefully be doing this once a month. More interaction with viewers, hopefully gain some viewers, because don't forget, we are on YouTube. Before, obviously, let me introduce myself. I am Jeff Galashaw. If you're seeing this, you're probably following me on Instagram, Projector J1, but usually I am Unfinished B1 or B2 on other social media. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Andre Joseph, the main technical man of AJ Epics Productions.
Live from New York, it's Unfinished Business Live.
So, well, we're hoping you stay and like it. Let's see how this goes. This is our first time doing it, so pardon any technical faux pas. So, starting off with news, let's talk about this Michael Jackson movie that, was there was so much early buzz that it was supposed to come out maybe even December of last year. And now I'm hearing like it's over budget, over $100 million. They're using a digital nose and post production to replicate his nose. Everybody says the same thing. Jafar Jackson playing Michael Jackson is excellent. But now, again, these are all rumors. There might be a problem with the third act because I guess the third act is heavily on, the cases of sexual abuse against him and how they affect him. And I guess in one of the side deals he made, and they were never allowed to really talk about it or, kind of film it. So they have to find a way to resolve the third act, even though it's building up to it, and go around that. Plus, I'm hearing like the Jackson family comes on set and is upset, and that Antoine Fuqua is like directing from a van to avoid them. Even though he claims he actually responded to it by saying that, oh, I like directing in a van rather than being on set. Where it's like, okay. And another rumor is that there's a 4-hour cut of this movie, and it's still not done. They still feel like it still feels unfinished. And they're thinking of doing it like Wicked and doing a part 1 and a part 2. I know you were really looking forward to this movie. What are you thinking about this Michael Jackson biofilm?
A lot of these rumors just feel like it's the media trying to get ready to smear this thing because they have their bias. They want to buy into that narrative that there was this dark, sinister aspect of Michael Jackson. So I don't know how much of that I want to believe. All I've heard from like some of the members of the Jackson family is that they like what they're seeing. They think Jafar's knocking out the park. They think the movie has some promise. As far as the whole issue with the third act, yeah, I did read that there was some oversight with the agreements that were signed, particularly for the 93 case, but that shouldn't be some indication of guilt that he did these things and paid it off. I don't believe that for a second. And in fact, if anything, I think, remember, they had cast Derek Luke to play Johnny Cochran. So I think part of the third act was supposed to get more deep into why he settled. So the fact that now they have to change that up means that they have to now sort of downplay that aspect and do something more generalized about maybe how he felt and how he was being traumatized by like the raid at Neverland or having to strip down in front of the police when they have to take his picture, things like that they'll probably be able to do, but not like the actual details of why he had to settle. So that's a shame, but I get it from a legal standpoint.
Well, I mean, like, I just feel like a little sorry for Derek Luke because I'm like, damn, first you play Puffy, now you gotta play Johnny Cochran, and your role might be eventually cut down, but Miles Teller will be all up in it.
That's the worry that a lot of Jackson fans have too, because a lot of fans have issues with John Branco, who is the head of the Michael Jackson estate. and they feel, there's been all those issues about Michael's will, and that there might have been some forgery, so he would have his name as the executor. So there's that concern that, like, how much of an involvement did he really have in his life that they have to make him a significant player in his career. I know that's like really the true source of contention between the fans and the production.
Well, it'll probably play, unfortunately, like a white savior thing.
Yeah,
If,
exactly.
done wrong. I'm just like, I just want to see this movie once it comes out. I'm hoping it's got to be better than like the Whitney Houston or the Aretha Franklin movie, even though, that's a lot of life to try and put into one movie.
That's the hard part, is how much of that life can you really throw into like 2-3 hours. His legacy is just too epic to have to be crunched down like that. Especially, like I said, like in an earlier episode, if you're gonna do his story, then sure, you go into the highlights with the music videos and the Motown 25 performance, but I want to get into like the grit and the real deal of what was going on behind the scenes with the man.
Well, I mean, I'm enjoying that. An idea like, think of the Jacksons TV movie as a prequel, and then this is like, okay, now you're going into the current film. That would be, if they could line it up that way. Who's playing Joe Jackson?
Coleman Domingo.
Okay, he might get a nomination. He seems to always get one every year anyway.
But they are going to explore him as a kid with the Jackson 5, because they have Lawrence Tate playing Berry Gordy and Kat Graham playing Diana Ross.
That could be interesting, though. Kat Graham was also in the Tupac movie. Let's not forget. Exactly. But I mean, the Jacksons can't badmouth it. They have a family member in it. It's like, where they gonna be like, oh, this was horrible. And Jafar, I've seen better acting from Tito.
Well, Michael's kids have been on set almost every day, so they've been monitoring what's been going on.
But are they like producers, or?
I mean, they'd have to have some involvement. I mean, they basically are part of the estate.
True, and I mean, and Katherine Jackson, is she? I know she's not passed away, but is she like bedridden, or can she actually like make it to set?
I can't say off the top of my head. I would probably think at her age she can't get around that much.
Okay. Well, we're going to move on to the next story since we're talking about rumors. There's Paul Thomas Anderson's next film, which is supposedly based on the novel Vineland. So another Thomas Pynchon kind of adaptation. So supposedly this has a lot more action scenes than any of his like previous films. It has like car chases. Sean Penn is getting early buzz. I mean, I know the gist of the story is that Sean Penn plays this far-right general who's like kind of a white supremacist, but has a black lover played by Tiana Taylor, who decides to start dating Leonardo DiCaprio's kind of hippie-ish character. And then supposedly this guy practically goes to war against or trying to take down Leonardo DiCaprio's character, who has a daughter who's mixed and has an obviously African-American ex-wife. And I think it goes into a lot of politics. But they're saying it has a 3-hour-long running time. But again, already Oscar buzz. Because I remember there was rumors they were going to wait till next year to even put it out. But I guess they like what they're seeing at the test screenings in Phoenix. And supposedly is going to definitely come out in August of this year. But again, with a 3-hour running time. So this might be his most mainstream film, I guess, next to Boogie Nights, even though, it's based on a Thomas Pynchon novels, which are very dense, Have you heard anything about this film?
Not since the initial update about DiCaprio being cast, but now that you've said what the plot is, that lines up with the rumor that this movie is going to probably mirror some of what's going on in the country today in terms of certain individuals in power and people that are a little bit on the other side of the political spectrum having to push back.
Well, it would explain his haircuts recently, like when he did the John Barenthal show,
Oh, right.
podcast.
Right.
So, I mean, Sean Penn's always an interesting actor. I don't know if I always line up with his views or political views. Hey, I like Jude Law too, but I like a joke at an Oscar too, at Jude Law's expense. So, our next story is there will be no American Psycho remake, actually. I guess it was just one of those things that, Luca Guadagnino had on his slate, like 50 other projects. And I guess right now he can't put his focus on it. I mean, especially if you're making a studio film like Sergeant Rock, as your next film, where that's going to have press all over it, I think you predicted this, that it probably wouldn't happen, even with supposedly Austin Butler being chosen to play, was it Patrick Bateman?
Yeah. And I'm not surprised, so I just say, good, don't do it.
I think there's room for an American Psycho. I don't think it'll be as strong, but but again, it's sort of like Batman. Can we wait at least for another generation to discover it? And then, go, I guess, kind of back in the past. Okay, so next. Apparently, they're remaking The Faculty of all movies. And Robert Rodriguez is going to produce it. He's not going to direct it again. I can see why they might want to remake it, because it's sort of like how they always remake Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And then the last time they did that was that big budget, The Invasion with Nicole Kidman. And that didn't really work. So now they're like, let's just remake one of the knockoffs. And I don't know, maybe with all this digital alienation, they can somehow tie it all together to make it, I guess tie in together. But here's the thing. I'll be interested to see it, but it just feels like this is a Netflix or like streaming movie waiting to happen. And I'm like, I'm not big with the kids or the young folk, so I don't know who would they even be like, yeah, let's do this. And it'll star this person and this person and this person. Because now even the teen stars they used to have are now playing like roles in their 20s. They're not like trying to go back to high school. I mean, unless they're just going to hijack everybody from Cobra Kai and be like, hey, all of you will be on. We're doing a remake of The Faculty. Pick a name out of a hat. That's the character you play. Like now it'll be like Robbie playing Stokely or something like that. Well, I mean, you could have William Zabaka play the coach. Ralph Macchio can be Jon Stewart's character, and I'm like, see, I'm helping you guys cast it. I don't know who's gonna play BB Newirth's role. And I mean,
Anna
you
Kendrick?
could just like have. Could be. I say no, but she's Brie Larson. She hasn't been in anything lately, and
Yeah, she needs work.
actually, she should be Famke Janssen's role. So yeah, unfortunately, they're going with that. We've discussed the Faculty on one of our deep dives, which you can find on our YouTube channel. David Leitch is in talks to direct Ocean's 14. And my thing is, does George Clooney only want to do movies with his friends at this point? Because it's like, okay, you just made Wolves with Brad Pitt, and now you're doing another movie with Brad Pitt. And I mean, yeah, if you can get the gang all back together, that's great. But who wants to see you guys pull off another caper? We know what's going to happen. Unless somehow you're going to mix Ocean's 13 with Ocean's 8, so you get the men and the women. But then that'll be like one of these all-star like rat race where like everybody's got to have a certain scene, but this cast is full of a bunch of people who have really nothing to do. That
Yeah, I
is
don't.
true. Wait, I just want to respond to a comment. To show we are looking at comments. Yes, Bat Hound Ace, my friend Andrew. Bernie Mac obviously won't be making it, but it will be probably dedicated to him. And so, is Alan Arkin alive?
No, he just passed away a few years ago.
Okay, so 2 people won't be making it. Wait, was Alan Arkin even in the Ocean's 11
No,
movies?
he wasn't.
I'm thinking of
any
Elliot
them.
Gould, sorry. See, I told you we weren't 100% factual here all the time. What are you feeling about this Ocean's 14?
I don't see the point in even doing this because the second one I fell asleep on. The third one was just, hey, everybody take turns acting with Al Pacino in a scene to try to go back to the original. And even that was like okay, but not great. I didn't see the one with Sandra Bullock and all the ladies, but my understanding was that they killed off George Clooney's character off screen. So how do you explain him coming back unless he faked his death? I don't see the interest in this. And plus, Bernie Mac's gone. Carl Reiner is gone. So obviously, you're gonna have
Oh.
to probably get a couple of new people in there. But otherwise, I mean, that was like 2 decades ago. I don't know anybody who really cares for this.
Neither do I, but I will tell you. First of all, I liked Ocean's 12. I'm probably the one person other than Steven Soderbergh who does. I'll admit, it seemed like the cast was having more fun than they cared about plot or story. But there's just something about that film that I like. I don't know if it's the direction, the soundtrack, but I am a fan of Ocean's 12. Ocean's 13, I just felt like they only did to make up for Ocean's 12 to the audience. But Ocean's 14, again, like, who are we facing now? Like you guys are the same age as almost as Al Pacino was in Ocean's 14, or as old as Carl Reiner and Elliot Gould were when they made these films. So it's just like, who are you going up against? The youth? Like some tech. Is this going to be like The Beekeeper? We're going up against these tech guys. And I'm like, what the hell? It's like, this just reminds me, like with The Faculty, how many original scripts are there out there? Stop making sequels to the same stuff or remaking the same stuff. It's like, please come up with some new stuff. Like, there's so many original projects not written by AI yet. So let's work with that.
Well, they're not looking at these things as movies anymore. They're just looking at them as content. So let's just keep expanding on content.
Well, that's because, again, we have businessmen running the studios rather than
Exactly, yeah.
creatives. So we're gonna go a little off from the news for a minute. Andre, you just saw the Monkey Red Band trailer, as did I.
Yeah, the poster reminded me of the movie Monkey Shines, which I don't think Stephen King had anything to do with.
No.
And it's typical James Wan, he did this with Annabelle and, pretty much Scary Monkey Toy. I thought for some reason Haley Seinfeld was in this because the girl in the poster with her face bleeding looked like her. Otherwise,
No, that's the other movie we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that one too. Yeah, get a couple of friends together, I might see it.
Oh no, this is definitely, I'm going to the theaters to see this because that trailer is just so crazy, and I love the long legs, and this looks like long legs but more fun. Like maybe this is the movie Nicolas Cage should have signed up for, so he could go fully crazy. Because just that trailer, with all the deaths, the baby carriage on fire, the priest cursing, the shotgun accidentally going off. I'm just like, I'm all in. I'm like, I definitely want to see this film. And like I said, I think Osgood Perkins hey, let him keep making his projects while he's still hot, because at least you're going to get something different than what you're seeing, you know. And then, of course, there's this new Sinners trailer, which gives us a little bit more of a plot, which, you know, I'm down for. It's a little more understandable, and you actually get to see Michael B. Jordan as the twins, rather than him always mentioning his brother, but we never see him. I think, even though it's going to be a mainstream film, I like that it seems like it's going to be more rooting for people of color or aimed at them, rather than, you know, I guess general, like, oh, we all have to gang up together against these, you know, these evildoers. Just like, no, people of color versus Caucasians. You know, like Haley Steinfeld has definitely grown up. You know,
Oh yeah.
now she's playing more temptress roles. You know, I'm just happy it's Michael B. Jordan not making a sequel or continuing a legacy franchise. So that's why I'm excited about it. I think I'm gonna go see it in theaters because I did not know Delroy Lindo was in it. But you know, I can see missing it. But if there's nothing else really out, I will definitely probably go see it. And so.
Yeah, I want to see it too, and I'm happy Ryan Coogler is doing an original movie that isn't a reboot, sequel, or a Marvel production, just an original idea and one that has some intrigue to it. Because, I mean, the assumption is that they're vampires that they're dealing with, but it seems like there's
Mm-hmm.
still a mystery that is making me teased to go see it in the theater versus having to over-explain everything, which is the one thing I like about a trailer like this.
Well, my thing is, I just hope it's one of those movies like you can see as early as possible before people start ruining it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think we were all taste testing or hoping somebody else went to go see something like Megalopolis before we tried to go see it. I'm still on the fence with that film. I don't know how I feel about that film. I'm like, in some ways it's awesome, but in some ways it's like, this was bad. But I'll tell you this: if it's ever on Criterion, I'll probably get it. So, and it's one of those films you got to show people, like, let them decide for themselves. What do you think? Let me just say that could be a deep dive in itself. Megalopolis. And I also want to thank the 2 viewers who are still staying with us. Thank you. I see you. I appreciate you. Yeah, we're going to be going on for a while, so please stay with us. Pack a lunch, get a drink. Trust me, it gets crazier as it goes along, especially if we go off on tangents. If you've never seen this show before. Suzanne Bia, who is, I believe, Swedish. She has directed a bunch of critically acclaimed foreign dramas. She also directed, what was that? What was the show with Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman? It was on HBO, Big Blue Eyes or something.
Oh yeah, Dirty Pretty Lies or whatever it's called.
No, that's the young version.
Oh.
I don't know what, but it was a big show on HBO. She directed the season with Meryl Streep on it. But basically, she has signed up to direct Practical Magic 2. Yes, only how many years late? But I mean, Practical Magic was okay. I wasn't one of those things where like, what are they gonna do next? I feel like it's like a hocus pocus too. Like, this is more of a fan service than like, oh, somebody's been brewing with this story. Big Little Lies. Thank you, Adam Raya. That was the name of the show. But I just don't feel like this was somebody who was like, I've got the perfect way to follow this up. Here's what we're gonna do with the witches. And guess what? We bringing back Sandy Bullock. We bringing back Nicole Kidman. We're not bringing back that zombie boyfriend. Aiden Quinn's like, hello, my number is still the same. Don't make me have to do another Liam Neeson movie. So, how are you feeling about Practical Magic or Duo?
I don't have too many thoughts about the idea of that movie, but more interesting that the reason that this is getting made is because the original is on Netflix, it got a high viewership, and they decided, hey, let's put money in for a sequel. They did the same thing recently with Simple Game with Blake Lively, which she can't promote now for obvious reasons, and that's not out yet. So that's got me wondering and thinking. Right now, one of the top 10 movies on Netflix. Do you know what it is?
Real Steel?
Um, I didn't check the recent ratings, but I found this out because I had to write about it for my job. But Eye for an Eye with Sally Field is on the top 10 of highest viewed movies on Netflix right now.
Oh,
So that gave
really?
me an idea. This
Oh,
gave me an idea. I think it's time for an Eye to Eye sequel with a near 80-year-old Sally Field coming back. And you could do one of two things. Either somebody finds out that she literally killed Kiefer Sutherland, she has to go to jail, and so we have to see an old Sally Field in a women's prison, or you
Double
have,
Jeopardy?
or you have the black kid from The Fresh Prince now all grown up, and something happens to his mother, and he becomes Kiefer Sutherland. He's trying to kill Sally Field.
How did he get pulled? Oh, okay, I remember. Because I was like, how did the kid from Fresh Prince get pulled into that? I remember. Oh, he played that, ladies.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that's mad random. You know, I would say, well, to me, your first idea sounds like Double Jeopardy. You know, I'm liking this idea of Sally Field going full Death Wish too. You know, now something happens to her other child, or they kill Ed Harris. You know, and she's like, "Oh no, you don't, not again." And
I'll even do you one better. It's that version of Death Wish 3 with Sally Field.
I feel like if we're watching Sally Field in a movie, I feel like at this point it would be "Stop or My Mom Will Shoot." You know, level of like believability. Her daughter, played by Sydney Sweeney, will be the Sylvester Stallone character. You know, yeah, I'm not. I do, yes, Drew. This time it's even more personal. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because she ain't got no family left. Who's gonna take care of her? He's like, this is literally Death Wish because after I kill him, I'm probably gonna die of a heart attack. But since you're talking about movies being number one on Netflix, I'm just saying, if anybody wanted to put an Action Jackson out on Netflix, I've got an idea for a sequel.
I think that ship sailed, dude.
I don't know. Me and Joel Silver are gonna make an Action Jackson.
No.
I'm bringing him back. I'm gonna get him just
Michael B.
for
Jordan's
rap.
not doing that one.
You sure? I'd be like, come on, we could bring everybody who survived.
Pierre, he's got the Netflix money now.
He could be Action Jackson. We'll see. I don't know if it's Aaron Pierre. I don't know. We might have to go John Boyega.
You can't sell that.
He needs a hit. An Action Jackson 2's hit.
And don't even get me started with Jonathan Majors.
He needs a job.
Not when you're running from a crazy white lady in a taxi.
Well, he might still have those magazine dreams muscles. So.
Well, I did see the trailer, so yeah, you already have women salivating for his comeback.
He could be the captain. He could be Bill Duke. And somehow we find a reason for him to use a bazooka. I haven't figured that out yet, but there will be a bazooka. When was the last time you've seen a real bazooka on screen?
You're not going to see Andrew Garfield use a bazooka.
Well, Andrew Garfield wasn't going to be in this fucking movie.
You mean the Craig T. Nelson part?
Maybe Tobey Maguire. That's the true Spider-Man.
That's the Craig T. Nelson part.
The true Spider-Man, yes. Again, thank you for the two people watching. You guys are holding on. You are our backbone. So next, Coralie Forage, director of The Substance, actually turned down the Black Widow movie because she would not get any final cut, and decided to make The Substance, which she wrote on spec, and she got full final cut. She could control the project. And I mean, no offense, I know like a lot of sometimes these indie directors, they're looking for work or money, she's an example of if you stay true to your passion project, it's going to be even bigger than whatever they called you for in the first place. Because I would feel like if I'm offered a job, they obviously recognize your talent. So if studios are recognizing your talent, that should tell you I know what it takes to make a good movie. So maybe I should strike out on my own, but maybe if like after years and you're still not working and you're basically destitute, then maybe you take that studio film. Because I mean, look at how long it took Patty Jenkins to come up with a film after Monster, really. And then it was like, oh, Wonder Woman, and then unfortunately Wonder Woman 2 came, and it was like, wow, we're going right back down. So,
well, this is pretty much something that I read a while back, and I don't know if this was the same filmmaker or it was somebody else, but somebody had mentioned that they were offered to do Black Widow, and Marvel essentially said, oh, we just really need the director to help with Natasha Romanoff's journey. And this director's like, okay, that's cool, but I can handle the action scenes. I can do the CGI. That's no problem for me. Oh, no, it's okay. We will handle all of that. You don't have to worry about that. That lies the problem with Marvel Studios right now. Now, unless you're Ryan Coogler or the Russo brothers or James Gunn, the indie directors that come in that get hired because Marvel thinks that they're good enough to handle their projects have that culture shock when they realize, oh no, you don't control this movie. It's a producer-driven business. So I agree that it's commendable for any director to say, well, I want to control all the images and tell my story. I don't really need to do this to prove a point or to get more jobs, because how many of those directors, especially the Russos, have had success since they've done a Marvel movie? It's a very small list.
that's true. Well, maybe they're all hoping they'll be the next James Gunn, and they'll be like, "Hey, guess what? You can run this shit," and it's like, especially with Marvel because it's just so all over the place, and even like their big money movie, or at least to start off the year, Captain America does not look like it's gonna make money, but it does. I don't know what the quality is gonna be, and it doesn't look very good. And
I
they're
think if
still
that
like,
movie, yeah,
and aren't they still like kind of reshooting it?
they're still
Now?
reshooting it. They're trying to say the budget isn't as high as than originally reported because of the reshoots. But here's the bottom line. I think it's going to come down to those reviews. And if the reviews are like average or like, 2.5-star rating, it's going to flop. Because it's just going to look like, oh, it's just another movie I could wait for on Disney Plus. Why do I have to pay to see money to see, Anthony Mackie, who's not a draw, even though he is a talented actor, he's not a box office draw. And my understanding with Red Hulk is that he's barely even in it, despite all the hype. He's only in there for like 5 minutes.
Well, I know if I was actually interested in this movie, I'd be like, wait, Harrison Ford's only in this for 5 minutes? Is that as long as you can keep him up? Like, what's up? Or, like, you gave him this much of a check, and it's like he's doing the Marlon Brando. Like, yeah, you give me this much money, I'll be in this movie for a hot 5 minutes. Why not?
And the publicity has not been good between Mackie going and saying last year that, oh yeah, when Harrison Ford was shooting, he's like, let's shoot this piece of shit. And then the recent comments he made at some event in Italy where he was asked, what does Captain America mean to you? And then he made some comment that made it sound like he was embarrassed to be an American right now. And now that's gotten a certain segment of the public all up in roar. And he had to pull back. Oh, no, I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be Captain America representing everybody. And now I kind of wonder if he really did make that mistake or if this is part of a larger publicity to drum up the black crowd to see this film. It's a little conspiracy, but that's my sense of it.
I don't. It's the only time this movie's going to get press, other than when it's released and maybe the quality when the fans start talking about it online. But at least they still have. What's the next Marvel movie after that?
Thunderbolts.
They still have that, the Marvel version of Suicide Squad, almost, and so hopefully that'll be their unpredictable answer. Well, since we're talking about franchises, every time we do a new segment, we must talk about Star Wars. So apparently now Sean Levy has a Star Wars project, and his has a star in Ryan Gosling, but apparently it's not going to be canon and connected to the other films. And
So
that's all
essentially,
we know.
it's just a standalone movie, from what I understand, and it's supposed to be. I could be wrong. This might just be speculation that they said it was supposed to be thousands some odd years before the prequels. All I could say is, who the fuck cares? I mean, at this point, Star Wars has fallen into the trap that Star Trek fell into in the late 90s and the 2000s, where there's still a lot of fans out there. The merchandise still sells depending on where you go. But in general, people are pretty much Star Wars out because you've already beat them over the head with all these sequel trilogy projects, TV shows. I know we're supposed to talk about the Rey movie, how they got a new writer recently, but it's like this is already so excessive that anything that was special about Star Wars, I think, is long gone. And I don't see, like, yeah, you could probably hype it up and put the marketing muscle behind it, and people will still pay to see it. Probably might make $1 billion. I don't think it's going to be anything that memorable. I think it's going to be like some average shit.
I think, again, since they flood the market so much, it's really hard for there to be any originality. And again, since it's like Disney, they're trying to go for every audience rather than just make something that was, stays true to the spirit, I guess, or at least the vision of Star Wars, where even, George Lucas doesn't really have anything to say, because even though they said, oh, we'll work in collaboration with you, they just threw his ideas out and was like, okay, so you guys, you handle it. Which, again, you can see in the sequels where it's like, I'll admit, I like The Force Awakens, but over the years I've realized, yeah, you just made basically a highlight reel of giving us moments from the original trilogy, only with new characters.
Yeah.
And then after that, you guys really didn't know what to do. Because first you want to say, well, we're going to give the next directors full reign. But then when Rian Johnson makes his movie, it went so far out that then they were like, whoa. And since the fans hated it, they were like, okay, so we have to clean this up. So J.J. Abrams comes back, and it's like we get a sequel that just feels like parts of, like, all the things that people liked about the first film and trying to, like, relieve that. But, I mean, we get no grand villain. It's like, hey, guess what? Palpatine's still around. It's like, it was like, it's like Buffy, a villain you killed off in season 1, now coming back for season 7. Like, let's dig him up. Oh, no mention how he came back or why he's really here. Just like, we need to dig up somebody. It's like, I would have rather you at least, like, brung back Benicio del Toro at least. Something or some remnant from the second film. Because then it feels like all the characters who were introduced in the second film get punished in the third one. Like, okay, Rose, we're going to give you a supporting role. This time, you get a cameo. And still this ridiculous love story of what's his name being in love with Rey. Rey not really giving a shit. And Oscar Isaac trying to figure out, why am I here? And that's what the third film plays out like. But it does have some nice visuals of fighting on top of what looks like a mountain or volcano. So, I'm like, hey, everybody got paid. So that's how I deal with it. And I'm like you when it comes to the Rey film. I'm just like, I don't care. It's, at this point, give me something that's going to be exciting, something original. If you're even going to bother to make a Star Wars film, because if not, then, let's take another, like, hiatus. Let us get Star Wars out of our system so that maybe when you have a new project, we'll get excited. it's like it's sort of like that Divergent movie series with what's her name, Shailene Woodley, where it's like, oh, we already have 5 films planned, but like after 1 and 2, nobody really wanted to see any more. But they're like, well, we got to keep making them though. We said we would, and that's
We
what it
got to
feels
get
like with
back.
Star Wars.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we got to get back to a time like people don't remember 1985 to 1995 when there were no new movies. You had just the cartoons, you had the a lot of video games, you had the books by Timothy Zahn. That's what kept it around, but people had moved on to other things until they finally like guys your age that went to college and started to rediscover it and yeah, it just got popular again.
I'm like, well, I mean, I guess they're banking on, well, this current generation grew up like with the prequels, so maybe they'll follow it into all these other things. But even they're like,
Yeah,
there's a
I
limit, you know.
I can attest to this because my friends' kids who were very small when the prequels came out, they loved them. They watched the Clone Wars on TV. Even they think that the sequel trilogy is shit.
It's like, it's sort of like, I don't mean to pick on him, but it's like Adam Sandler. He did all those kids movies for a while because he was hoping, oh, when this next generation grows up, they'll be fans of mine. And even they're like, yeah, this movie's still horrible. And then
Yeah, I
same thing
mean,
with Eddie Murphy. At least somewhat he's trying to make a comeback though. So the next thing is, since we're talking about sequels, they do plan on doing a Romy and Michelle high school reunion sequel. Again, how many years too late? No offense. Trust me, I love Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion, the original. But now it's like, it feels like it's gonna play like one of those movies that usually stars Diane Keaton and 3 other older stars all ganging together to go on an adventure. It's like, I mean, it'll have its audience, but is it gonna be fresh and fun? I mean, I'll wait for a trailer, but I mean, Maya Sorvino's still looking good, and Lisa Kudrow's hilarious. But I'm like, but what are they doing now? I feel like if you were gonna make a sequel to, well, they did make an unofficial TV movie sequel that none of the people who were originally associated with the movie were in. I think Katherine Heigl was played one of them. I would rather, like, I don't know if you ever watched that weird comedy, Barb and Marge go to Della Vista or something
oh,
like
I
that.
know that. Yeah.
That seems more like that would be a natural Romy and Michelle sequel, even though that movie is very strange. But like that would be something I would see as a Romy and Michelle. Like, do something so bizarre, so out there, so different from the first one if you're gonna bother with it. Or I just don't want to see, oh, they're doing the same thing 20 years later. Are they still? Why are they having another high school reunion? Like, won't half the class be dead?
Yeah,
And I'm like, go ahead.
I was going to say that I put that hand in hand with Grosse Point Blank because it came out right around the same year, and almost they could be like in the same universe with the whole like the high school reunion setting, and in that case that's a dark black comedy, but then this movie is more like, hey, these girls that used to think they were popular and they really weren't. But that was like for a Generation X crowd. I don't know if that's going to play today with today's audience.
I don't know either, and I'm just like, and you have like, well, Grosse Point Blank unfortunately did have an unofficial sequel with War Inc.
Oh yeah,
set in the future, and it's like,
that was
yeah,
terrible.
I was gonna say nobody needs to see it, and then with an ending that made sure there won't be a part 3. So I'm like, if you do make a part 3, you got to kind of make it a prequel to part 2 and a sequel to part 1. And it would be nice to see, John Cusack working again on the big screen. And I don't know if that's going to happen, especially in this political climate, or somehow Grosse Point Blank will be just nothing but anti-fascist. I'd be like, but where's the comedy? And he'll be like, there is none in a fascist. And I'll be
He
like,
probably would say that.
exactly. And I'd be like, thank you, John Cusack, for that. I'm just like, oh, I'd be like, I guess you'd have to find like some other political comedians to be in it, like Janine Garofalo. You know, be like, yay! I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, just uh, 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 oh god, I'm just thinking about that movie. I'm just like War Inc. I think the whole big thing of that movie was like, oh, Hillary Duff kind of is like the femme fatale. I think it was.
Yeah, I
And,
think so.
and then
It's
she
been a
put
while since I've seen it.
yeah, she put a scorpion in her pants, and I'm just like, okay. What do you do at night, John Cusack, other than tweet? But next, and please be on our show. So next we have Jennifer Aniston wants to remake 9 to 5 with, of course, all the hottest female young stars. Like, of course, you would pick Ariana Grande, Oscar nominee, Zendaya, Emmy winner, and Sydney Sweeney, bombshell box office. You know, like, yeah, I really expect her to be like, I want to make 9 to 5 with, you know, similar Oscar nominee Zoe Saldana or Hillary Duff, because we haven't seen her in a while. You know, it's like, yeah, of course you'd pick like the 3 biggest stars. Why doesn't she try to make 9 to 5 with Courtney Cox and Lisa Kudrow, make it a Friends reunion? There goes your box office, Jennifer Aniston, with the morning show that I don't know how it keeps going. Or get Reese Witherspoon. She's in a new Will Ferrell comedy. She's still acting and working. And so now, okay, so that was pretty much the news. So now we're going to go on to free range topics. We're going to get to Oscar nominations. I don't know if we're going to make it this show or if we do another live right after this, we talk about it more. But I want to talk about, I recently saw Problem Child 2, or was thinking about it. And it was a film that actually scarred me growing up. Because
Really?
even as a child, I thought, even as a kid, I think I was 13 when I saw it in theater. And mind you, I didn't see Problem Child the first one in theaters. But when I watched it, I was like, this is the most disgusting movie I have ever seen. And it's aimed at me as a kid. It was like, not as bad as Terrifier, which I only made it through 5 minutes. But I imagine when people go see Terrifier and aren't expecting that much gore, watching Problem Child 2 for me was like, same reaction. There's no gore, but things were gross just to be gross. Like the dog taking a shit that's a pile that South Park has obviously borrowed many times. And then you have like scenes where, like, why does he have a dollhouse that's full of roaches? You know, like, why didn't his father call an exterminator? You have the big turd at the end when Jack Warden and Luella are kissing. You have, I'm trying to think of other, that pizza that's supposed to be at a Chuck E. Cheese place that looks so disgusting. He farts in Gilbert Gottfried's office for a very long time. And then I found out the writers intentionally did this because basically the original Problem Child, they had a bunch of gags in there that the studio did not like and were like, okay, this is disgusting. This is like one of the worst films ever. And we're gonna make sure you guys never work again. Then the movie becomes a hit, and then they're patting them on the back and calling for the sequel. So they were like, oh, if you thought Problem Child was bad, we're gonna write this sequel even more disgusting. And they actually wanted it to be like a John Waters or a Jodorowsky film, but for kids. So that's what we got. And now I can look at it as that it's still a disgusting film. I mean, we even interviewed Alan Blumenfeld, who has a small role in the film. I mean, I can say I enjoyed the film, but at the time, that film like messed me up for a little while. I was just like, no, never again. It took me a while to rewatch it. Is there any movie that you can remember that kind of scarred you as a kid, like was kind of on that level? Or maybe you were just too young to watch at that time?
There was, and it wasn't Problem Child 2. I actually enjoyed both movies as a kid. I'm not gonna say they're sacred cows to me now, but they were fun back then. What was the one with Fred Savage, the mouse on a motorcycle?
And Fred Savage, you sure he was in that one?
It might have been the one before that. It was the ABC Kids movie that aired on Saturday mornings.
See, you got me there
Ralph
because
the
I
Mo-
was gonna say Stuart Little.
No, no, not literally. This was like one of those TV movies that used to air on Saturdays, and because they would have like the live action PSA or after school special. And I just remember it was like one of these movies they did with like a stop motion mouse, and he had a motorcycle. And I only remember this one bit in one of those two movies where there's like I guess like a stop motion owl in a tree, and then the owl like flies into the camera, and that scared me as a kid because it looked so freaking real.
Oh,
I have to find the
okay.
name of it.
Yeah, because I'm like, I'm sorry. I wish I knew a reference to have seen this film because I'm like, huh? um, but yeah, because I mean, there's a bunch of movies I can think of, but it's more of the type where I was too young to see it. Like I could say, since we interviewed Diane Franklin, the ending of obviously The Last American Virgin messed me up as a kid because I was used to seeing all these films where the guy gets the girl, gets his dream girl at the end, and this movie was like a knee to the groin. Like, nope. um, and I remember, I think it was Unico, The Last Unicorn. It's an animated film. That had just such a sad ending that I just cried my eyes out. Because here's the thing. By the way, I was 10. So nobody's thinking I'm like 16, like, fucking animated movies. But it was also, here's something. I'm this old since you like to keep bringing up my age. There was a cable service called WHT that I had, and it was, you had to have a box, and you had to like tune it to watch these movies, and I had a guide. So not only did the movie mess me up, but then I could never watch it again because it was the last time it was airing that month. So I was fucked up with that movie. To this day, I've never watched it, but I do want to find it on DVD.
Oh, another thing that scarred me as a kid, and we talked about this in the deep dive, Living Large, when he envisions himself as a white-faced
Oh,
reporter.
that white,
The
yeah, that was weird. Like scary.
Yeah, when he starts talking to himself, and the eyes start widening and his face gets whiter as it goes along, that freaked me out. And the scene in Death by Temptation with the dude with his junk hanging out as he's running from the chick who becomes a vampire in the shower.
Well, see, I didn't watch that until we had to do a deep dive
Now, I
on it. So
remember
I was,
vividly as a kid because I stuck into my parents' room and I saw that part of that. I ran the fuck out.
oh, okay. And Adam Rea, my friend, he says that the name of the movie is The Mouse and the
Yeah,
Motorcycle
that's
from
it. The Mouse and the
1986.
Motorcycle. Yep.
Yes. So now I'm going to have to check that if it's available so I can see what this thing that you're like watching is, because I can be like, what the fuck is this movie? This
It,
scared you? What the
it was on the
fuck?
level to me as the PSA with the drug dealer turning into a snake.
Okay, that did scare
Yeah,
me as
that
a
scared
kid. I will
everybody.
admit. I was like, I would actually be like, it's not a movie, but I will even admit that I was scared. Friday the 13th, the series. Some episodes scared the hell out of me, and now I watch it like this. This is what I used to cover my eyes for.
Oh, and another thing too, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan with the worms that Chekhov gets in his ear.
See,
The
that never
close-up
messed
shot
me up.
of the worm actually going into his ear freaked me out.
That didn't freak me out. I was like, I think I was just all about, that's Mr. Rourke. You know, where the muscles come from? Again, I was like 10 when the movie came out.
Wasn't
So
that like
I did not know that
prosthetic
was a
pecs,
prosthetic.
though?
Yeah, I was like, damn, he's been working now. That's what he was hiding under that white suit? He could have been a Chuck Norris villain in that outfit. I think that's all I can think of that like scared me. Like any movie that like scarred me, that like was really that snake thing though. Now it's like in the back of my mind, I'm like, that fucking commercial. Fuck. I can watch it now, but I'd be like, I don't voluntarily want to watch it. You know.
That should be
I
a
mean,
movie in itself somehow.
that just seems like it would be an episode of an horror anthology more
Yeah.
than a movie. It's like no, I guess they didn't have any black writers on Tales from the Crypt who's like, ha ha, I've got an episode for you, Joel Silver. I don't know why I'm picking on Joel Silver. There were like 4 producers.
Because he's a
It's
yeller.
it's, who is it who's a producer?
That's what I was told
I'd
in
be like,
college.
hey, I depending on the director, I might be a yeller if I was a producer. I'd be like, hey, if you know what you're doing, I'm like, okay, cool. But if you don't know what you're doing, it's like, what the fuck? Why you're not David Lynch? Everything doesn't have to be in real time. This is your first movie. Fuck you. And then hug him later. They're like, sorry, I didn't have my coffee that day.
Oh, that's like back. Kurt Russell and John Leguizamo on Executive Decision. Like, stop improvising. I'm the star. And then he's still trying to hug him at the premiere.
Why not? You know, they're like,
after
hey,
having 2 shoving matches.
Hey, I'm sure he liked him more than he liked fucking Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
Did Steven Seagal even go to the premiere?
I don't think so. That was a paycheck day. I
just feel like he'd be like, okay, I'm here for my 20 minutes of screen time. And then he'll take his underage date and leave. So, like, you see that, honey? I was the star. See how everything revolves around me after I die? So next, well, I don't know if we have enough time because in 3 minutes this is going to click off. We'll be back though once I figure out how to do another one right after it. But thank you to those 2 people who are sticking with us. I love you. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who tuned in. I guess we could kind of do our halfway goodbye because when we do part 2, we're just going to talk about Oscar nominations. And then that'll be the second one. So you're getting 2 for the price of 1. I don't know if it's going to be on here or YouTube, but I'll let y'all know. So right now, we'll just keep talking until it clicks off in 2 minutes and then start anew. So I don't want to move on to any other subject. Anything like really fast. Any movies you're looking forward to other than the ones we discussed?
Not off the top of my head. Actually, no. Love Kills with Ke Huy Quan.
I would like to see that. I'm also interested in seeing Companion, but it's like one of those 50-50s. Like, if I have free time, you know, because it's also early, so I know it'll be on streaming like that. But, I mean, it piques my interest. Because, you know, it's more of a sci-fi story than a horror story. And as I get older, I don't know why, but sci-fi sometimes intrigues me. I may because I'm just tired of always seeing horror. All the time. It's like, oh, let me guess where this is going. And, you know, it has Sophie Thatcher in it. Jack Quaid, who seems to be in everything these days. You know. I will admit, I love the cast of Love Kills, especially Marshawn Lynch. You know, Ariana DeBose. Yeah. Kay finally gets a starring role in a movie. So all of you go see that movie. That movie needs the budget so he can keep starring in films and not have to play, you know, so many supporting characters.
Hell yeah.
So he's got, you know, I'm still waiting for, was it Encino Man 2? With him and Brendan Fraser. The 2
that's going to happen somehow. Disney's going to throw the money for that for like Disney Plus.
Well, we don't need, what's his name? We don't
Pauly
need
Shore?
Yeah, he can cameo. Like, do we really need him the whole thing? Like, Sean Astin can even be in. Can't we just have like some young comedian play his kid?
Pete Davidson?
Like, that's if he stays the whole time. If he doesn't like decide like, I don't like this movie, I'm leaving. No, I'm sorry, I can't come up with the script for this one. I can't even think. What is Encino? I would think if you were gonna make Encino Man 2, it'd be like that caveman lawyer sketch on SNL. Stretch out to 90 minutes. Well, I don't know. I guess they're not going to turn off the live so we can keep going. I'm still waiting to see if 401 it'll turn off. But no, it's still going. So let's go for it. If it clicks off, you people just have to wait till you one person who's still there. I guess everybody else is like, fuck. I can go for the first hour. Second hour, you're pushing it, Galashaw. Or I'll wait till they fuck. Unfortunately, it'll be like Companion. It's like they're like, I'll wait for you to post it. And then I'll watch. And then you guys better put like, you're talking about this from here to here, this from here to here. I don't know why I sound like Rosie O'Donnell. But let's move on. I just like, we finally talked about Oscar nominations. One person's still there. Everybody else left. It's like, you keep talking about these Oscars. What the fuck? Okay, so Oscar nominations. Would you like to just go through the categories, or should we talk about the surprises?
Talk about the surprises.
Well, anybody who knows me, who's talked to me, Nickel Boys got fucking robbed.
Yeah.
And, it got 2 nominations, but there were 5 other nominations it could get. I mean, how are you going to nominate for Best Picture but not Best Director? That almost guarantees it ain't going to win Best Picture, especially when there's 10 films for Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay. And I blame the studio that released it because it had all this buzz in October at some film festival. I think it was the New York Film Festival. And then you never heard anything else about it, even though everybody was raving about it. And then finally, like, you start seeing trailers and posters, very few, but it was only if you went to movies. You'd be like, oh, that's interesting. But the poster doesn't really tell you anything. And unless you're an avid reader, you have no idea what the plot's about. And the trailer, while visually stunning, you kind of get the gist of the thing. But then it finally is released, but there's zero fanfare because there's no promotion for the film. It kind of reminds me of like Ava DuVernay complaining about her film Origin, which got like festival buzz, but then was like DOA when it was released. Except Nickel Boys actually had a built-in audience, people who loved the book. It also also looked a little bit more exciting than Origin because you knew what it was about. But I just felt like they dropped the ball. It definitely should have got Best Cinematography, Best Director. Anjanou Ellis, again, should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress. And even Best Score. I love the score even. And it just, everything just poo-pooed. And I'm also shocked that Nicole Kidman did not get nominated for Best Actress for Baby. I didn't see the movie, but I thought she would get nominated. Angelina Jolie for Maria seemed like a shoo-in, and she didn't get nominated. And look, all the actresses in Best Supporting Actress are talented, but it's a joke. I can say Zoe Saldana is the only one who I felt like really deserved their nomination, because Isabella Rossellini, yeah, she's good in Conclave, but again, she's in half the scenes, but she only speaks in like 1 or 2 of them. And it wasn't that strong a presence. The only reason you might notice her is because she's one of 2 women who have major roles in the film. So I was just like, okay. And those are like my surprise. Of course, I saw the TV Glow to get nominated for something, and it got shut out. And because soon we'll have our top 10 list episode, and it definitely made my top 10. Other than maybe Denis Villeneuve not getting nominated for Best Director for Dune 2, what are there any particular surprises for you when it came to the Oscar nominations?
Well, definitely Nickel Boys was a shocker to me. That didn't get as much play with the Oscars as I thought, given all the hype around it. Also, Saturday Night got completely snubbed out. I know it wasn't like a massive hit, but I remember there was all that early buzz surrounding it when it was coming out, and that one just completely got dismissed. I don't think they got a single nomination, period.
Nope.
Um, and yeah, they definitely downplayed Dune. I thought that probably could have been like this year's Return of the King, you know, how that was like the last of the Lord of the Rings. So let's give all the accolades to that because they completed the entire franchise that way. Um, and that's really it. I mean, I'm glad to see Honora getting some recognition. I'm definitely happy
Yeah.
Demi Moore got her nomination. I think if she
Oh,
doesn't get it,
Margaret
it's Mhm.
Margaret Qualley, I was shocked didn't get a nomination. And
Yeah. And I was thinking about that too. I was thinking about the complication of having to nominate two actresses for basically the same role, but because it's Demi and you know she's pretty much at icon status, it only made sense that she got the nomination and let Margaret, you know, work her way up with something down the line. Um, I think she's got a good shot at if she doesn't get it, then it's going to be a little bit of a crime, in my opinion. Um, and I was also shocked they gave so much play to a complete unknown. That seemed like, you know, not that big of a deal to really be an Oscar-worthy movie. I didn't really hear a whole lot of like serious high praise about that one.
well, I mean, people who saw it seem to like it, but that's why I'm wondering if maybe Michael Jackson, the movie, will kind of be like that, where you heard all these rumors of reshoots and all that, and then it knocks it out of the park anyway. But yeah, that one was like, I expected like Timothy Chalamet to get nominated. I didn't expect like all these nominations that it got. I'll admit I didn't see it, and honestly, like the trailer looked interesting, but it wasn't something that said I need to immediately go out and watch this film either.
Oh, and Sebastian Stan getting nominated. What's the deal with that?
That seems a little political.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure. Look, I'm not trying to insult Sebastian Stan. He is a good actor, but I thought he was going to get nominated for that A Different Man, which got more rave reviews as a film in general than The Apprentice, which just feels like we're just making a live action documentary of things you already know, except for maybe the plastic surgery.
I can only imagine the awkwardness when they have to announce those nominations at the event. Oh, Sebastian Stan as Donald Trump, and I'm like,
I was happy that the guy who played Igor in Honora got nominated. You know, I thought that was going to be one of those where like multiple people from Honora gets nominated. Like I thought maybe, I guess the guy who was dressed up as the bishop, who was the head of that organization.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he would also get nominated, and because I know the one who's playing the rich kid, he's going to be starring in the new season of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And so, but yeah, Honora, that felt like a shoe-in because everybody had been, like, it seemed like Honora got all the praise that you would think Nickel Boys would have gotten. But again, maybe that's because Honora, again, plays more like a more comedic but hard-hitting drama version of Pretty Woman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, except without the happy ending. Yeah, the one other than Best Supporting Actress was Best Score because I was like, wait, at least half the movies I like, if you're not going to give them any other one, they definitely deserve Best Score. Like, I saw the TV Glow could have gotten Best Score. Nickel Boys could have gotten a nomination for Best Score. Well, Brutalist, I believe, did get a nomination for Best Score. So it's like, well, at least one of them did. I mean, The Substance, you only really had that music you hear in the trailer that they play throughout the movie. I wasn't shocked Dennis Quaid did not get nominated because it's like, it's more like a special appearance type role, you know? But I mean, I can't talk about the foreign films because I only saw Emilia Perez. I can't talk about the animated films because all I saw was Inside Out 2, but I do want to see like Flow and The Wild Robot, you know. But like foreign films, I admit this year I was weak. Same thing with documentaries. You know, I haven't seen half of these documentaries. I'm usually a little more up on all these things, but I'll admit, like this year I've been like, when it comes to those. But I mean, that's it out of like the Oscar nominees that like really, irked me. Oh, Amelia Perez, I didn't expect to get that many damn
Mhm.
nominations. And, again, I can't say why. Maybe it was just the foreign film du jour. Maybe it's political, Hollywood trying to show its liberalism.
Of
Um,
course.
but it seems like everybody who is represented in the movie doesn't like the movie, though. It's like the trans community doesn't like the movie. Spanish, Mexicans don't like the movie. So I'm like, okay. It's like, so who exactly is this for? Is this for, the older Caucasian voters of, the Academy who are like, I liked it. It was a musical. Who is this movie really for? I mean, I'm glad it's made. I just wish maybe its politics were a little set for the characters that it portrays. You know, it's sort of like watching, I don't know, like a movie that's supposed to be for a black audience, but filled with like stereotypes, and directed by a white guy.
Mhm.
So I don't know. So, is there any other news you want to discuss this week
Um,
or this episode?
it's not really. I mean, I don't know how to really describe it, but finding out like right now we have that whole controversy with Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. That's a
Mm-hmm.
whole deep dive in itself. But I didn't know that this Baldoni guy was going to do a Pac-Man movie. And I'm asking myself, and I was asking you last night when I saw this, I'm like, what in a movie about domestic abuse makes anybody think this guy could do Pac-Man? What did they see in that?
I think they were just like, his name is in the news. Let's get him for something. He'll take whatever we give him because he's kind of blackballed, and it's got to be better than that Pixels movie that Adam Sandler made. And so I think it's like a last resort offer. Like he has to pay his lawyers with something. So it's like, use that Pac-Man money. Not to mention, they're making a Minecraft movie, so why not a Pac-Man movie? And call me when you get to Cubert.
Yeah, I mean,
That is a movie.
is he getting bullied and abused by the ghosts? Is that what they saw? Like, oh yeah, he could translate from the Blake Lively movie to that.
Or you can make it political. He's an illegal immigrant who's eating up too much in that
Uh,
world. And the ghosts who are blue are the cops or ICE. So
I
he's on the run.
see.
So so you make it a whole political statement, see?
Oh my
Uh,
God.
I am telling you, artists, hire me as your advisors or your producer. I promise not to yell unless I've had my coffee or my Red Bull. you know, I trust me, I'm better than Scott Root when it comes to temperaments. So,
And there actually is another
um,
piece of news we could get into because it kind of broke a few weeks ago. We didn't really talk about it, but Warner Brothers is now serious about making another Gremlins and Goonies.
I I said all I've had to say about useless sequels. Again, this would be great if we were in that range when it would have mattered. But now it's just like watching old men live out their glory and a
Yeah.
studio just desperate to not make anything original, being like, okay, here you go, legacy sequel. Like Gremlins, you already did an animated show. Isn't that good enough? And
Yeah, and then with the Goonies thing, so for those of you who don't know, I write for Collider and I'm a senior features writer, and I wrote a piece about why I think the ship sailed on another Goonies movie. And it's as simple as Richard Donner is gone. Most of these guys were in their 50s, and let's face it, when they made that movie, it was a particular moment in a particular time when these kids are on a Steven Spielberg production when he was at the height of his powers. You're working with the guy that directed Superman, and you have these large sets. You have the wonderment of the kids who feel like they're in summer camp, and you have all these celebrities like Michael Jackson showing up on set, and the amazement of these people coming in their circles. So imagine yourself going to summer camp when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, and it's that only time in your life that you actually have like that fun and adventure and you're with your friends. And now you're being told, oh, we want you to relive that, but relive it long after you've had kids and you have all sorts of ailments and dealing with health issues. You're not going to be able to get that lightning back in the bottle. So why are we still trying to do this now? And especially if your idea is, well, the legacy sequel thing is in, we'll get a diverse set of kids and the old cast will come back and pass the torch. You got Stranger Things. That connects with today's kids enough. You don't
Exactly.
need to do this.
Again, it's just the studios want to go with what works. I think, if anything, like how when they did that Friday the 13th and bothered to explain how Jason Voorhees, moved around that stupid bell system, you should pitch your idea with what about all these time zones when it comes to the Gremlins? How does that work? Especially since they seem to come from China originally. So how did they adapt to American time, or is it with whatever region they're in? And how does it work when they're like being transported in? I guess if it's in a box, like who's to say they're not going to eat like the hay that they're packed in? And
Right. And how do you actually like the whole 12, you can't eat after midnight, but it's like 3 hour zone difference if you're in the West Coast. Like how does that work?
exactly, it's like that. I think if anything, they should put that if they're going to do a part 3. And Adam Reyes says I used to watch Collider Movie Talk all the time. So see, you have a viewer and a future reader.
Well,
Of
they haven't asked me to be on Collider Talk yet, so if I ever do, I'll let everybody know.
Yes, I don't know what it means for this show though.
As far as I know, no conflict of interest unless they say otherwise.
Yes, I don't think well, with the few but dedicated people who are watching this episode, I don't think we're making that much of a ripple where they're like, that Galashaw show is competition. You must
Don't
make a
worry,
choice.
folks. I'm not going to be John Campia.
Okay. I'd be like, ooh, shots thrown. And now there's going to be an online beef war between the two of you. I'd be
He
like,
doesn't pay attention to me, but Chris Carr, come on the show. We love you.
I just don't want to be that innocent bystander who gets shot in the face. I'm like, oh, boom. Be like,
Does he really have that
I'm
loyal
not,
fans?
I don't know.
Does he have a
John
cult?
Campia might have a temper. He might have, he might know some people. You don't know. He could be part of one of the gangs out there.
Well, I mean, he's
Did wear a
like
lot
a
of
little nothing. You can handle him on the street.
I don't know. Maybe he rolls deep with his Collider crew.
Kathleen
Collider crew.
Kennedy?
No, then you just want to go after Kathleen Kennedy. See me, I'd be like, I've got bigger fish to fry, which is nobody.
Oh, I thought it was Gene Hackman.
I'm not gonna fight a 90-something-year-old man who, by the way, happy birthday, Gene Hackman. I hope to see a Japanese beer commercial out of you soon. I don't even know if he does voiceovers anymore on those commercials, like for hatchbacks.
I doubt it.
Or I think Action Jackson 2 could use a villain. That's all I'm saying. It could be his return and last. It could be his David Lynch in The Fablemans.
Oh, no.
Or his cameo in The Mexican. No, Gene Hackman's. No. Before being like, wait, David Lynch was in The Mexican? It's like, so yeah, that's gonna be it for this week. But as you know, we always have unfinished business. But before I get to, if for those who know, that part of the show, John Campy is Canadian. He doesn't roll deep.
Of course.
Canadians roll deep. They drink beer and play hockey and don't care about losing their teeth. They got that free health. So The only thing I'm going to plug this week, because I ain't got nothing really going on, is friend of the show, Brittany Carney, will be playing at a Union Hall next Wednesday, February 5th. The show starts at 7:30. And also on the 6th, she will be hosting a variety show at the Arts Nova Theater for Black History Month that she curated. And, all the artists will be African American. And me and Andre will be there. So for any stalkers, we will be there. We'll sign autographs, take pictures, whoever's watching this. Still. That is all I want to plug. Also, Brittany Carney's friend of the show. So that ends this business. But as you know, we always have unfinished business. And I have to ask you, have you seen Persona by Ingmar Bergman? If not, why not? Because it's fucking awesome. Andre, what movie should everybody out there go see? Because it's fucking awesome.
Have you seen Undefeated or Undisputed with...
You don't even know the name of the movie.
Have you seen Unstoppable with Jennifer Lopez, not the Denzel Washington movie, the wrestling movie that's on Prime Video? If not, why not? Because it's fucking awesome.
Yes, that is the correct title. They'd be watching Undisputed. Where's Jennifer Lopez? It's the best prison film. But we also want to thank everybody who viewed in, even if you didn't make it the whole show. Thank you for viewing, because we definitely appreciate it. We hope you continue to either watch this on the replay, wherever it is, or come in on future shows. And please, feel free to comment, as some people did. Or if you guys want to ask questions, we'll answer them live on air after we're finished doing our rants. Or any subjects you guys want to bring up. This is an open show when we're doing live and when we do the tape shows. Wouldn't mind some commentary. But, we do this because we're passionate, because, we do have loyal viewers and we're appreciative of all of them. But, we're not getting the big viewers or we're getting the sponsorship deals. So this is all out of passion, and we do it for you. We do it because we enjoy it. So we're going to keep doing it no matter what, until either one of us has kids. Then maybe you'll see it a little less. But until then, please, feel free to reach out. Tell us what you think of the show, how we can improve it, or if you just really like it, would be much appreciated. Spread love, because everything now is about community in this climate, because we have so many people trying to tear us apart politically, ethically, and really, we've got to support one another and just be good to one another, or in the immortal words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other. And because that's all we got. We all we got, y'all.
And subscribe.
I don't know why I yelled it. I should have said it nicely. I don't know. It's the Red Bull. But we're here about spreading love. We love you all. And if, you guys want to talk about anything, let us know. We want to know, please. I want to keep doing this and know that people are out there watching it, because y'all gonna have to wait till Deep Dives next to see us. Though we do have some interesting episodes coming up and an interview with another actor, which we think you'll enjoy. So until next time, this is Unfinished Business Television. If this is your first time, thank you for coming. I am Jeff Galashaw, Unfinished B2, and also Projector J1 when we're doing the lives. And with me, my co-host, Andre Joseph of AJ Epics Production and Cult My Dog, the website. So, any famous last words for this episode?
Man's got to know his limitations.
True. I wish one in particular did. It's who Sebastian Stan played, in case if you were wondering. So, we'll catch you on the flip side. And please, watch and share this when I post it. But let me calm down. Please watch this and share this when I post it. I got to stop trying to be Macho Man. So talk to you. And please, be nice in the comments. I don't want one to be, stop yelling. And secondly, calm down. um, and stop with the ad-libs. It's live. That's what ad-libs are for. This ain't late night with the devil.